Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
And good morning. Welcome to Capitol View. I'm Roby Brock. Thank you so much for joining us. A citizens initiative is circulating to alter education policy in Arkansas. The Arkansas Educational Rights Amendment of 2024 would require private schools that receive local and state funds to comply with state academic and accreditation standards, including student and school assessments. Failure to do so would result in a loss of state funds. The amendment also says that the state will provide universal access to early childhood education from age 3 until the student qualifies for kindergarten, universal access to after-school and summer programs, assistance to children within 200% of the federal poverty line to achieve an adequate education and overcome poverty's negative impact on education, and it supports and services meeting the individual needs of students with disabilities. It does much more than that too. But the group supporting the measure, a coalition known as 4AR Kids, for Arkansas Kids, is collecting the more than 90,000 signatures needed to qualify the proposal for the November ballot. So you may have a chance to vote on this soon. Joining me, Bill Kopsky, Executive Director of Arkansas Public Policy Panel, and April Reisma, President of the Arkansas Education Association. Thanks to both of y'all for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Did I get most of that right in the setup there? Was there anything inaccurate in there?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, all right. Just making sure, you know, as I'll get criticized one way or the other. A political question first before we dive into some of the details of all that. Whoever wants to take it. You got to collect 90,000 signatures by sometime in July. Where are you in that process? Besides early on, and are you pretty confident that you're going to make it?
Oh, we're confident. We are early on. I'll take the first part of that.
Yeah, sure.
Early on, because it's just been approved. You know, we had our kickoff last week at the Capitol, and even though it's early on, it's only been 2 weeks. We are blaring. I mean, it is crazy how many signatures we've gotten already.
That's impressive.
Well,
so
we'd like to be halfway there. We're getting close. But we have a lot of bipartisan support. It's something that everyone knows that our state needs, our children need. So I'm excited about all of the signatures we're getting and that we're going to be getting.
Who's going to oppose this? Is there an organized opposition to this? I haven't heard of any, but I do feel like that there will be some people that don't want some aspects of what you're proposing here. Do you know who your opposition's going to be?
No named opposition yet, so we're certainly planning that there would be some, but no named opposition at this moment.
So you're going to have to, if you get the signatures and you survive a legal challenge and your signatures are qualified.
It's a harrowing road.
All of that. I mean, I'm just saying this is not a given yet, but if it does get on the ballot, this is what people will be voting on. Let's dive into some details on that. Let's talk about the standards for private schools to have to meet public school accreditation and standards. Why is this important to you guys, and how is it spelled out beyond just the language in the constitutional amendment? Will it also require state statute and potentially administrative rules to implement?
Well, certainly the legislature and the Department of Education would have to implement the Constitution. So they're going to have to create rules and some policy around what exactly that looks like. But right now, the reason why it's important is Arkansas has really 3 tiers of publicly funded schools. So the highest standards are in our traditional K-12 public schools. But then we've created a second tier of schools that have lower standards, and those are charter schools. They don't have to meet all the same standards. And then what we've seen, unfortunately, is that public schools have gotten a lot of waivers from those high standards because they say they have to compete with those charter schools. And now we have a third tier of schools in Arkansas, which are the private schools that accept taxpayer-funded vouchers, and they have even lower standards. And so all we're saying is let's create a level playing field, and any school that receives taxpayer public funding has to follow the same high standards as a traditional public school.
That third tier that you're talking about are the education freedom accounts that are in their first year of implementation. Second year will get a little bit broader, and then third year is universal. Do we have any idea in terms of how that's impacting anything in public schools right now? Is there any, besides just feedback that you're getting?
Oh yeah, we've got the feedback. They did come out with their report in the fall and noted that many of the folks that were taking advantage of those accounts were already planning on going to private schools. In fact, 95% of them. And so that's really the only statistic we have at this moment. Now, anecdotally, I'm hearing a lot of feedback that we're concerned about the real effect it's going to have on our rural schools. As we pull kids out and they go to these other entities, we're going to have less and less children to support those rural schools. And that's going to be a real hardship.
Are there options? I mean, there's a lot of rural communities that don't have a private school option. Are we thinking that there will be schools created for this, or is it just, because I can tell you what I hear from some folks in rural parts of the state that I talk to. They're a little bit angry that their tax dollars are funding private school kids in Little Rock and in Northwest Arkansas. That's feedback that I get.
They're subsidizing middle class and wealthy families in urban areas for sure.
But there are also some kids that are getting some opportunity and some chances. Do you have any kind of anecdotes or any statistics that kind of support that it is helping some kids that wouldn't have had the option to do a different type of schooling than traditional public school?
You know, what our measure is about is making sure that every child in Arkansas has access to a high quality education. And that's why the equal standards are so important. That's why the other components around pre-K and after school and all that is so important. Because what the research shows is that private school vouchers do not improve educational opportunities. They actually lower them. If you can look at other states that have implemented them, Indiana, Arizona, Florida, they have had a drag on student performance. They have not boosted it. And Arkansas doesn't have, as you know, a lot of money in our state budget. We can't afford to squander it on disproven.
Oh, we got a lot of money in the state budget. It just goes to tax cuts pretty frequently.
Well, there's that problem.
I think that's changing just a little bit there. Let's talk about the early childhood component of this, the after-school programs of this. What are you envisioning how this is going to be set up? Every school offers the same thing, or it has to be tailored to different communities? Do you have a kind of a concept or a vision for how to implement it?
Of course, all of these particulars would be taken care of at a later time. But these are just things that our students need, things that have been proven over the years that are the most effective to help students achieve, grow, and thrive. And so we want to make sure that our students here in Arkansas have access to those items.
I have to think that there's a price tag to that, though. I mean, it will be substantial, not just because there'll be some more kids participating, but you got teachers, you got resources, you got facilities. Any idea of what you're talking about in terms of the price tag on that? Or is it we're going to put this into law if people vote for this, and the legislature is going to have to basically mandate that they're going to have to put the money up for this?
A little bit of both. I mean, so currently our constitutional obligation for education is in the Constitution. It doesn't say how to fund it. It's up to the legislature to figure out how to fund it. We're working on a cost estimate of the proposal now. Some come out sometime, probably late spring, early summer. But important to note is not only are there costs to implementing things like universal pre-K, but there are benefits to them as well. So the most expensive thing the state does is fail our children, because then we're up for not only poor outcomes for children, but a lifelong of higher medical costs, higher detention costs, I mean, all kinds of other costs. It's much easier to give a child a quality education on the front end than try to fix it on the back end.
So let me just make sure I'm interpreting this right. Let's just say it cost $300 million to implement some of the programs that you're talking about here. You're saying that you hope to put out some sort of impact study that shows that the return on that investment would be obviously more than $300 million. If that, I mean, I'm just making up a number.
Sure. I mean, I think the return on investment, there's studies already showing on like after school and summer, for example, is 4 to 1. And pre-K is in a similar boat. The special education, again, we can save money by improving quality special education on the front side.
And I just want to say one thing about all this. How much is too much to invest in our children here in the state of Arkansas?
Well, $8 billion would be too much, because that's about all that we bring in terms of tax revenue. So
it will be under $8 billion in costs, I can assure you that.
Fair enough. Extra help for low-income children. What does that entail?
Well, so right now, Arkansas provides support for children who qualify for free and reduced lunches. And so this is just simply an expansion of that. The state legislature has been underfunding our streams of money for that, but it's for things like tutoring, or right now, after school and summer programs or pre-K, can also support health clinics inside schools. Some school districts have used it to create community schools models. So again, we're not mandating, it's a constitutional amendment, so it's creating kind of a foundation, but we're not mandating.
It's not specifically outlined in there what that would entail.
Again, we're talking about a constitutional amendment and not an initiated act. So it's going to be up to the legislature to do all that, but all of those programs already have foundations in law, and so it's just simply an expansion of those.
One of the things in your combination of talking points on your website, and I think some of the articles that we've done on this talks about this is going to improve teacher quality. How will this amendment improve teacher quality?
When we give teachers support for the children to be able to learn, that's when it's going to improve that quality. Teachers are going to have time to be able to prepare. The children are going to come to them more prepared to learn. Taking care of students that are hungry or have other social emotional needs, not just children, also adults. This can also help them to be a better employee, to be a better educator as well when we have these extra services available for all. You know, one of the biggest problems as a teacher is just simply not having enough time. But when we also don't have enough support or resources, it just compounds issues.
I don't have to tell you this, critics of this, wherever they may sprout from, and I suspect that after this interview I will be hearing from them with an invitation to be on the show so we can talk about things from their perspective here. They're going to say this is creating a bigger, in quotes, welfare state. I mean, the government is doing more than they should, is going to be one of the criticisms of this. How do you combat that criticism?
Well, should the government be subsidizing private schools? I mean, we're already expending state funds on education. What we're focusing on is the most effective, proven strategies to boost student learning. So there's no doubt that pre-K is one of the closest things we have to silver bullet to lifting all students' performance. Same thing with after school and summer, same thing with wraparound services for children in poverty, and then special needs children in Arkansas have needed a lot more for decades. And so this is really investing where we know it will have the biggest impact on boosting student learning. One thing that a lot of people don't know in Arkansas, we actually had the fastest improving education system in the country for about a decade, from 2004 to 2014. And it was because our lawmakers were focused on the research-proven strategies as a response to the Lakeview decision. But around 2014, we lost sight of the ball. We started investing in expanding charter schools and vouchers and privatization. We started defunding, or not defunding, but stopping the increase in funding and the adequacy funding formula. Yep. So schools saw a real decline in inflation-adjusted dollars, and our performance since then has declined. So now we're back near the bottom in the country.
Yep.
This will get us back to the track to becoming one of the top education programs in the country.
I think you wrote a guest editorial for us on that topic. It's on our website at talkbusiness.net. All right, Bill, April, I got to end it there because our time is up. Thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. Keep us posted on how things move. When you get closer to that 90,000 goal, I'll be asking, how's it going? So
It's not going to be much longer, my friend.
All right.
We'll come back as often as you'd like.
All right, we'll see about that. All right, I maybe bring you back on with someone else.
That'd be great.
We're back with more right after this.